Now that we've kind of explored a lot of the new cards from Journey Together, I thought we'd take a moment to go back and look at some of the decks that were pretty popular before rotation and see where they're at now. Thanks to the poll that we had, we are going to be doing Charizard first, since that is the winner of the poll. If you're interested in deciding what we play next, feel free to comment it down and below, or join the channel and take part in the polls. The Charizard EX is a card that has dominated the format for a very long time, but it's a little bit on the lower end right now, and I think that's mostly because there's a lot of new toys, and Charizard has lost a little bit of its super consistency that it used to have, though I still think this deck is in a really strong spot, and over time we'll see it just go back to its former glory. One of the things that helps this deck out a lot is the Infernal Rain ability, which Charizard is famous for at this point. When you evolve it from your hand, you get to search for 3 basic fire energies and attach them any way you like. This is really useful, and then the Burning Darkness just makes it so that way the more prize cards your opponent has, the more damage you're doing, making it get stronger as the game goes on, and its 330 hit point total is nothing to scoff at. One of the changes of this deck is that it is now playing the regular Chi-Yu, mostly for the Mega Fire of Envy attack, where if something is knocked out, you can bring it in as a kind of revenge attacker. This is really important because this deck lost access to Radiant Charizard, and so this can still hit for weakness against Gholdengo. It's a single prize attacker, so it can be pretty useful since as a revenge attacker, it does do enough with weakness, and then also it gives you an out to Cornerstone, because Chi-Yu in combination with Dusknoir will be able to knock down the Cornerstone. So if they just try to place a Cornerstone in the active and wall you, you do have a way around it, which works out pretty well. One of the few problems with this deck is that it did lose access to Rotom V and Sealstone as well as Lumineon, so its consistency is a little bit hurt. But now we're just playing for Arven in order to get our pieces. We're playing Max Belt to fix our damage numbers as well as a Defiance Band. And we also have access to Brock's Scouting, which is nice because on our first turn, if we're going second, we can search out our 2 basics and get those set up. It kind of functions like a Buddy Poffin. But also we're able to get ourselves a evolution Pokemon in the later stages of the game as well if we need ourselves Pidgey or whatever. Pidgeot, not Pidgey. But yeah, that's kind of it for the list. It's pretty straightforward. I still think it's very, very strong, but be sure to let me know any changes that you would make to it or how you're playing your list down in the comment section below. Before we get into game 1, I just want to give a special shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for that additional level of support. It really does go a long way, and it means a lot, so thank you guys so much for that. For everybody else, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and it's very appreciated. I know that a lot of people watching have seen my videos but are not subscribed, so if this is your second or third time on the channel, feel free to subscribe and check out future videos. If not, no worries, I get it. If this is your first time watching the video, then see it through to the end. If you like it, great. Be sure to subscribe. If you don't, I understand. And yeah, we'll jump into game 1 in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 1. Our opponent's going to be going first. We open... If this was a... Like, if we had a basic in that hand, that would actually not have been that bad. This is okay. I mean, obviously, opening Fez isn't ideal, but it's not the biggest deal. We have the Rescue Board. We will have the Arven in order to get ourselves the Buddy Poffin. We'll have Nest Ball. We'd obviously like an energy, so that way we can go for the... what's it called? So that way we can go for the evolution. But if we can't, we can't. It's not the worst thing to ever happen. We are up against Gholdengo. That's not a terrible matchup because, again, we will have access to the Chi-Yu. The Budew is going to be minorly annoying. We open Buddy Poffin. So we'll grab ourselves double Charmander. We'll go Nest Ball for a Duskull, since we are going to want that for later. We can even go Arven here, grab ourselves another Buddy Poffin, and we'll grab the Defiance Band for now. Then we'll grab this and a Pidgey. That way our board is set up and ready. Then we can retreat, bring in the Cleffa, and from here, we'll Cleffa for 3. Unfortunately, didn't get what we were looking for. But we're in a position now where, like, if they evolve and knock out the Cleffa, we have decent confidence to just bring Charmander in and be able to go either, like, Defiance Band down, whatever, go Fezandipiti, try to hit either an Arven, something that'll give us a rare candy so that we can make Pidgeot into Charizard. We can even go Ultra Ball. If they start Badoo locking us, it's, again, not the biggest deal in the world. It, like, is minorly annoying, but it could definitely be worse. We get TM Evo, but again, we have no energy to actually use with it. We could go for the boss's orders to pull something up, but I want to leave that. What I'm fine doing is just playing this down, playing the Artazon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll just go Cleffa for 1. Where we do get ourselves the Charizard. Again, not really what we're looking for. We would like an energy to go and use the evolution. They get the Levincia. I'm not really worried about that. Like, drawing the Artazon or, like, getting rid of the Artazon, again, doesn't really matter. We just wanted it out of our hand. If they end up knocking out the Cleffa this way, I'm also okay with that. But we do see the TM Evo. So we can go energy down. We'll go evolution. We'll go evolution to Pidgey and the Charmander. That's pretty annoying that Charmeleon's prized. But it's okay, because we do have the Pidgeotto, so we can at least go Pidgeot. It's just going to be annoying that we are stuck for one more turn, like getting prized. Or item locked, rather. Because ideally, we would be able to go, like, the Badoo knocks us out. We plus up with Fez. After, because we had the evolution go off, we'd be able to go Pidgeot EX into Charizard EX. And kind of go from there. But unfortunately, we could not. And like I said, our Charmeleon being prized definitely sucks. Because now, like, we have to break... We have to break the Badoo on this turn in order to deal with this. Like, in order to get past the item lock, we have to go Dusclops into the Badoo, which we don't really love doing because it does give us, like, give up an extra prize. But we don't have a choice. Like, we can't get item locked again. If we had access to Charmeleon, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But in this case, it's really bad. We do get ourselves a fire energy that I'm actually going to attach to the extra Charmander here. And I'm going to play one more down. Retreat. Bring this in. And from there, I will pass. On the next turn, we'll have Rare Candy Charizard. We'll be able to go Buddy Poffin in order to get ourselves another Duskull that we can set up for a Dusknoir play. We'll have Boss's Orders, Charizard EX with the Defiance Band to knock out the Goldango. If they don't set up another Gimme Goal, we'll be okay. They've kind of gotten greedy playing with the Badoo. Just trying to, like, item lock over and over again. And the fact that we only have Charmanders right now makes it so they can't really boss any of these up to take 2 prizes here. They could go for Pidgeot. That would obviously be kind of painful. But if we're able to knock out the Goldango here, they won't actually have a response. But it looks like they're gonna... Okay, they're gonna boss up the Charmander with the Defiant Band. I'm less worried about that. Because if they knock this out, then it's the same value of a Defiance Band anyway. Night Stretcher. If they go Badoo again... Oh, wait, they can't. Well, they could, because they could go to Dunsparce, draw, go Badoo, be really annoying. They go for the Punishing Scissors. That's actually fine. Again, as long as I get rid of this Goldango, I'm in a completely fine position. We'll go for the flip the script first. We do find ourselves an Arven. We'll go for this. We'll grab ourselves another Duskull. Then what I'll do is go Counter Catcher to pull this up. We'll go Pidgeot to find ourselves a Rare Candy. Rare Candy for Charizard. Get ourselves 2 energy. There's only 1 available. That's pretty annoying. So on this turn, we'll go Super Rod, Max Belt. We'll Super Rod the Duskull or the Dusclops into energy back into the deck. And from here, we do enough damage to get the KO. We already have a Charmander on board. What I want to do from this point is I can get rid of this and 1 other Ultra Ball to grab myself the Chi-Yu. So that way I have a 1 prize attacker available. And then I can also use the Flare Bringer if it ends up mattering, just to get energy from my discard pile. And then I already have Boss's Orders in hand, so on the next turn I can look to Boss's Orders the Fezandipiti. And if they boss something else to go to 2 prizes, then we'll be in a fine position. Honestly, what we can do is we can go... If they don't take a prize card here, we could actually try to find ourselves the Briar and go Ultra Ball for Dusclops. Dusclops onto something. If we can find ourselves, like, another Counter Catcher, which I think we run, I don't remember. That could always be an option as well. But I'm also fine just bossing up the Fezandipiti. If I can get myself into Counter Catcher, because again, I don't remember if we run a second one. If I could Counter Catcher up the Fez and then go Iono, that'd be great. If they choose to take the knockout here, they go to 2, which means I can win with a Briar if I can get the Fez to the active. And the fact that I have the Fezandipiti of my own and the Pidgeot, as long as I can find the Briar, we will be in an okay position, provided, like I said, I have a second Counter Catcher. If not, there's a world where I bring in the Chi-Yu as a 1 prize attacker, knock this out, and go from there. But first things first, we'll flip the script, where we do get an Iono, but not exactly what we're looking for. We'll go Buddy Poffin here. Not to actually do anything, but I just want to search my deck. We do have a Briar. We do also have a Counter Catcher available, so we can go Counter Catch and Iono as the play to make here. By quick search for the Counter Catch, we'll go energy onto the Chi-Yu. Counter Catcher, pull this up. And then is there anything else we would want to do? I think going Max Belt onto the Chi-Yu's fine, just as, you know, a backup option. I don't think we need anything else from what we have. So we can drop the Iono here. Put them to 2 cards, where we do get an energy as well. We can retreat out, go Charizard, Burning Darkness for 300. There's our Charmeleon. We really needed earlier. And we have energy for Chi-Yu as well. So there's no out for my opponent here. There's no way to take 2 well, that's not entirely true, but it's very unlikely they could take 2 prizes here. They kind of overloaded their bench. I don't know why they weren't using their Dunsparces earlier, because there's pretty much no way that they didn't have them. They were just getting really greedy with using Budew, which is something that this deck can struggle with. Like, getting Budew locked for a while can be kind of annoying, especially when you go for evolution and the things you need are not in the deck. But they overplayed their bench and just didn't want to use the Dunsparces for whatever reason. I feel like they were holding them in an event of, like, preventing an Iono play or something. But yeah, they needed to be more aggressive, whether it was using the Rotom Fan for damage or something, but they definitely had options they didn't go for. I would say my opponent played this kind of poorly. Like, they had a lot of advantages, but just weren't able to really convert them. We'll see what they move to the active. I mean, it makes sense to go Scizor, try to get some damage. Not that it really matters. You're not going to be able to one-shot, because you're only doing 160 right now. Yep, and that's going to be the game. So we were able to play it out, but it was definitely difficult. I got to sneeze. Hold on. I'm back. It was definitely difficult for our opponent after a certain point. I feel like they relied way too hard on, like, using Scizor and stuff for, like, no reason. At that point, like, just play your Goldengos out and go for it. They spent too much time trying to item lock, and so it really just hurt them. So they definitely did not play that game very well. They could have won if they were a little bit more aggressive early, but choosing to not do that and the way they set up their board just made it pretty difficult for them. But yeah, we'll jump into game number 2 in a second. I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 2, and we're going to be going first. Our opponent won the coin flip, so this is what we'll have. We'll open the Cleffa and pass. We'll just kind of see how that goes. We are up against the... We're up against Dragapult, which is a kind of iffy matchup. I'll hold on to the energy for now and pass. We could just go Iono off rip, since we don't really have access to much. But we do have the Rare Candy as well, so we could go Arven for Ultra Ball. If we want it, just go ahead and make the Charizard and just start getting early aggression down, and then use an Iono, start looking into being able to get, like, Pidgeots and stuff like that down later. I think could also be a viable option, because right now we're our hand isn't the best for us, honestly. Like, if they... We see Buddy Poff in here. Sparkling Crystals in hand. Sparkling Crystal can't go to either... Well, it can go to either one of those, but... I think I'm gonna do it. I don't inherently love the plan. But I think it's the plan we're gonna do. We'll get rid of Rare Candy, or sorry, we'll get rid of that. We'll grab ourselves Charizard. Make this and just start getting aggressive. I think we can't really afford to go Iono and start moving around and things like that. Like, I think we just have to start getting the attacks off. If they don't have an out right now, like if they don't have... Their hand essentially has to be Rare Candy, Dragapult, Sparkling Crystal, and we know Sparkling Crystal's one of those cards. Ultra Ball. They get rid of the Sparkling Crystal, so it could be Rare Candy in hand, Dragapult for a Crispin. If we had Max Belt, I would boss his orders this Fezandipiti so quickly. Night Stretcher for another Dreepy. Jock for 2 Dracloaks. 1 Dragapult EX. We know that they can't... There's no way they're going to make Dragapult EX because of the fact that they don't want to... they wouldn't have a way to actually power it up. But we can KO this Dracloak in the active. Go Iono. Hopefully get some more basics down. And kind of go from there. Like, if we can get another... Okay, the Artazon helps. Because I was going to say, if we can get, like, double, like, a Charmander down, or something like that, like 2 Charmanders, 2 Pidgeys. Alright, so that helps. We'll go Artazon here for our Pidgey. We could put TM Evo down, but honestly I'm fine with this. We put the Dragapult back to the bottom of the deck. We're able to go Buddy Poff in here. The reason why we want double Pidgey is because if they make Dragapult on the next turn, which they certainly can do, we want to make sure that just by attacking into us and spreading the 60 damage, they can't remove both of our Pidgeot potentials from the board. We get ourselves a counter catcher. We have access to Fez as well, which is not terrible. We do have max belt potential. We see another Dracloak. The reality is that they're going to be able to go Dragapult this turn and attack. So our main play at this point is just guaranteeing Charmander on the next turn. As long as they don't put the damage counters onto the Charmander, we'll be in a pretty decent position. The fact they're going Jock here means that if they don't have If they don't have Sparkling Crystal, they won't be able to get an attack off on this turn. We see Rare Candy for Dusknoir, that's fine. Even a Dusknoir plus Dragapult attack will not KO us. But it would mean that they're going to knock out the Charmander, so we're going to have to prep another one on the next turn. We do have Artazon to do that. We see Ultra Ball for another Dragapult EX. This will open up potentials for Fezandipiti. If they go Iron Bundle... Wait, why'd they go Defiance Band? We get to take another prize card. We get Night Stretcher. Does that help us? Not really. Okay, I'm fine to give up the Cleffa here. One, because it will give up it'll give us a prize, like, it'll give up a prize card, so it'll make our Charizard a little bit stronger. But also, it will activate Fezandipiti. And if they choose not to attack for whatever reason, we can just retreat out and go back into Charizard. Interesting that they... I guess they just couldn't find their Sparkling Crystal. That's a really bad move, honestly. I feel like the play here is to not attack into the... I guess you kind of have to. You can't know that I have Fezandipiti in hand. But I feel like that's really risky to do that. We see Briar. That doesn't really matter. We'll go flip the script. Getting the Arven is nice. Because it does mean we can just go, like, Rare Candy into Charizard again. And as much as I want the reality is, like, as much as I want to be able to go for Pidgeot here, I just don't think I'm really going to be able to this game. I'm just not finding them. So I think it's better to just go Rare Candy Charizard, get this powered up, and start the offensive. We're just going to be doing a no Pidgeot game, essentially. And then from here, we'll do the 210. There's a world where, like, we could retreat this and not give up the prizes from the incoming Phantom Dive, but I'm less worried about that. The goal here is that we actually do give up 3 prizes doing this, but that they don't KO the Duskull. Since we have Briar, the goal here is that they Phantom Dive, knock out the Charizard, and knock out one of the Pidgeys. That would be best case scenario. That's awesome. Because they take 3 prizes, so we can literally just go Briar. We actually, it didn't even matter. We go Charizard. We go Briar. Blazing Darkness. Knock out the Dragapult. And take all 3 prizes. One of our Pidgeots was there. That also is why we couldn't find one. But yeah, alright, so 2 kind of weird games, to be honest. My opponent's play wasn't super optimal in either game, but that one was weird. I think that they weren't playing the most kind of consistent build that they could have for Dragapult. But I also feel like we made the right call just going Charizard and making early aggression. There was ways that we could have played that would have ended up being slower, but I think us just making Charizard and starting to attack kind of put them in a weird position. Like, I don't think they were expecting us to do that, so I think it kind of threw them off a little bit. And then also, I don't think that they knew how to play around, like, that early pressure of just, like, losing Dreepies over and over. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. I don't think they made the best call with the Dusknoir either. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll jump into, can't always control the play of your opponents, so you just got to make the best of it. And yeah, we'll jump into the breakdown in a second. I'll see you guys there. Peace. When looking at the new Charizard lists and kind of its position in the current meta, I actually think Charizard's not in a terrible place right now, though it does have a couple limitations. I think that the list has changed a lot. Not the list itself has changed dramatically, but the things that have changed kind of matter. I think that just going over it, we'll start from the top. Looking at the fun rating, I like Charizard EX. I've always kind of been a fan of it, even when it was getting a lot of hate. It is pretty straightforward, but I think that's important for decks to be new player friendly, and I think Charizard was a great deck to give to new players to get them into the game, give them a absolute kind of classic card to work with and kind of go off of that. I think one of the other things that Charizard kind of brings to the table is that it is a fan favorite Pokemon. It's easy to use and it's pretty fun. It's very strong as well, so that's also good to bring in a lot of new players with, because they don't want to just be losing right off the bat. Going into our power category, Charizard is very, very strong. The later the game goes, the stronger it gets, which helps it out a lot. The problem is that its early game curve can be a little bit kind of awkward. Trying to hit 280, which is a new kind of common number that we need to kind of get around, or even the 230 number can be a little bit awkward. When things were 220 or 210, then it was a little bit easier, because you could just let one of your Charmander get knocked out first, and then you bring in Charizard after, which was much better. But now you have to rely on Defiance Band, and you have to rely on your Duskulls or Dusclops, Dusknoir kind of combos in order to fix your damage early, or use things like the Max Belt. So you're still able to do it, but it takes a little bit more than it used to. So that's why I'm giving it only 4 stars rather than 5. Going into consistency, this is going to be 4 stars rather than 5, is where 5 used to be where I would put it. Losing out on Lumineon and Rotom really hurt this deck a lot. And then it kind of made it so also, like, losing out on Sealstone, not being able to go Sealstone into Pidgeot consistently, and being able to go like Pidgeot Sealstone same turn for 2 cards to like guarantee your Charizard every turn, definitely hurt this deck a pretty good deal. So that is something that is holding it back. I think that you can kind of fix this with Cleffa, making sure that you're going second as much as possible to be able to go with the early attack with Cleffa, get yourself a new hand, kind of help guarantee yourself the rare candies for the following turn, and a way to get into your Pidgeot, so that way you can get your deck going. There are Noctowl variants of this deck as well that can do similar things, but I don't love them as much as just the standard Pidgeot build, in my personal opinion. But time will tell what is kind of better or worse in that regard. Going into other cards that this lost and the matchups, I think losing out on Radiant Charizard really hurt this deck. It was something that in the late game could help you a lot. It made your Goldango matchup a little bit worse. Now, there are ways to fix that with like Chi-Yu, but Chi-Yu's a little bit more awkward because you don't get to just throw like 1 energy on. You have to, make sure you're using 2, so you have to make sure that your energy is always available in that matchup to be able to go Charizard, throw at least 1 energy onto the Chi-Yu, 1 from hand or 2 from the Zard, whatever combination you want to do with it. But you have to make sure that it's kind of like positioned, is where Charizard, or Radiant Charizard rather, at the last seconds of a game, you could just drop it from your hand, bring it in, put 1 energy down, and then be in a great spot. With Chi-Yu, it's a little bit more awkward. So definitely something to look out for there. Your other matchups are a little bit awkward as well, because Teal Mask Ogerpon is running around everywhere, so that can be definitely something to be a little worried about, because of the fact that Teal Mask is going to one-shot your Charizard all the time, and then you also have to worry about Wellspring, so like your Terrabox matchup can be a little bit rough, because like you have to worry about Wellspring just sniping out your Pidgeys and all that kind of stuff early. That can be very frustrating. Then you also have to worry about the Dragapult matchup, which has always been a little bit rough for Charizard. Only, like, not having a 70 HP Pidgey makes it pretty difficult. If you don't get one out, they're just going to keep knocking it over. and that's pretty rough. It's not an unwinnable matchup by any means, but it's definitely not great. Even looking at the games from this video, you can definitely beat Gholdengo and you can beat Dragapult, but it's a little bit unfavored and you need them to play a little bit poorly or draw well. So that's why I'm making its matchups 3 out of 5. But for an overall of 4 out of 5, the best deck that we covered so far, in my opinion, of this new format. And yeah, I think it's really strong. I definitely could see it performing pretty well at this weekend's Atlanta Regionals. I think it's kind of a sleeper deck. It has some bad matchups. It has a great Gardy matchup, which is also important. And I think we'll kind of see it prop back up as the Terapagos with Bouffalant, like, as that becomes better. I think this deck also becomes better because Terrabox won't be as common because that counters it. So yeah, I think Charizard will be around in our format for a very long time. But yeah, that's going to be the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It really helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, just let me know what you want to see in the next video, and I will see you guys all next time. Peace.